It's time for the Success in Real Estate Show with Frankie Griffin, owner and instructor of Real Estate School for Success. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
In studio with me this morning is my very special guest and friend, Tiffany Sowards. Now, Tiffany, you're a real estate agent. You're also a licensed agent.
Yes, I am. I'm a licensed agent.
With ERA.
Yes, ERA Wilder Realty in Irmo.
Now, how long have you been staging?
I've been staging for about 5 years now, and I've been doing interior design for almost 20.
Wow, that's and I've seen some of your work. I've seen your website and stuff like that, and we're going to put all that information out there. But you know, we're moving towards. We're getting into the fall and obviously moving into the winter. And historically, that's been somewhat of a slow time in the business to sell houses. So now more than ever, we've got to have something extra, something a little bit more to get that house sold. And we've got some statistics here, if I can talk this morning, that I just think are incredible. I'm not going to get into all the numbers right now, but I do want to talk about you know, when you walk into a house, when I'm showing houses with a buyer, it can be a really nice house, but it just doesn't show. There's nothing there that really grabs you and said, this will work for me.
I think buyers, whenever they walk into a home, if it's vacant or not, they want to have that feeling, that homey feeling, you know, that they just found home, and that's what staging can really help you overcome. Okay.
And I know this might seem kind of ridiculous question, but for some of us, it's not. We need to know. But what is, when you say staging? What is staging? What does that mean?
All right, staging is basically whenever you set the stage to sell a home, and what you're trying to achieve is you're trying to get the buyer to walk into the house and feel like they just found home.
That works for me.
Yep, it's just setting the stage for a buyer.
So you're just moving some furniture around, is that all?
Yeah, a lot of cleaning, decluttering, just enhancing what the house has.
Okay.
Kind of showing off its best features.
Can you do the same thing for a vacant home?
Yes, definitely.
So which is easier to stage, if you will, a occupied home or a vacant home?
Well, they both have their pros and cons, and on a vacant home, I've noticed that more realtors show vacant homes more because they're easier to show.
Right.
But sometimes they lack, you know, that homey feeling, so you have to kind of stage more with better paint colors, put curtains up, things like that. A lived-in home, it has its pros and cons. As long as it's clean and shows well and decluttered, it possibly may show a lot better.
Well, and because we have a lot of vacant homes out there right now.
Yes, we do.
A lot of them. And I'm trying to help my mom get her house sold right now, which happens to be vacant. We were talking before the show, you know, what can I do to try to make a vacant home show well? And you were giving me some ideas. What are some of those things again that might help a vacant home?
For a vacant home, one thing that's really inexpensive is to decorate the bathrooms. And what I mean is just go to your local, you know, TJ Maxx, Ross, whatever, and buy a nice shower curtain, something with a lot of color into it. Put a shower curtain up, maybe a floral. Decorate in the kitchen. You know, put some canisters and some florals, you know, flower arrangements, things like that in the kitchen. And then also, you know, decorate the front door. Put a wreath on the door, you know, kind of make it look more lived into.
Yeah.
So all those things would help. And that, you know, those things right there, I mean, for $100, you could probably do a couple bathrooms and a kitchen.
And get you an offer on your house much faster.
Yes.
Much faster.
Much faster.
And those are some of the things we're going to be talking about today. And I've got so many things I want to go over, but I wanted to hit on a few of those highlights there. Now, Tiffany, I'm looking at a report, I guess it is, because it's several pages long. But I got this information off of HomeGain, which is a very popular real estate website. And they've ranked several things that you can do to help your house sell better or faster at a higher price. And right up at the top of the things that you can do is home staging.
Yep.
And you're looking at, and this really shocked me. It says you're looking at an average cost of around $300 to $400.
Yep, that's very accurate. Yep.
That's incredible. I would have thought it'd been a whole lot more than that. But then I see, but if you do spend $300 or $400 or whatever it costs to get their house staged, they're showing a average return on that investment of 586% return.
I know, wow, isn't that amazing?
That's insane. 586% return on your investment. Look, if you're an investor, where are you going to invest money?
There's nowhere.
And get a return like that. That's
There's nowhere
incredible.
where you can put in around. I charge $400 to do staging, and I mean, look at the return.
That's incredible. I mean, 586%.
I know.
And then now I will just say on this report, home staging, it says, is the second best thing you can do. The first thing it says, which to me, I don't even know what the difference would be, but it says to clean and declutter their house. And you're looking at about an average cost of between $100 and $200 there. And that would bring a 872% return on your investment.
Yeah, Frankie, I want to tell you what I tell everybody in my seminars or my new clients. If you were getting ready to sell your car, would you not clean it? Wax it up, clean the stuff out of the glove box, and then how is your house any different? And cleaning the $100 to $200, that's just cleaners, and a lot of times you can clean a house inside and out and it looks totally different.
You're right.
Yep.
You're right, and not only that, but a well kept or well staged house, clean house. It's not only is it inviting, but it smells good. I mean, you can.
Yeah. Well,
you know, and I've said this I don't know how many times on this show, that one of the biggest turnoff for buyers is when they walk in a house and there's a smell, and it's not a welcoming smell.
Yeah. Nobody wants to buy a stinky house.
Oh man. Ugh. But anyway, I'm looking at some of the things that I would like for you to sort of help me on a little bit. But when you stage a home from sale, it says to place fresh flowers, potpourri, I guess that is.
Potpourri.
Potpourri.
Yep.
Well, in Georgia we call that potpourri. And some other decorations, and even in the bathroom. And that's sort of some of the things you were talking about to me earlier, like in the kitchen, especially if you have a vacant home, to decorate some things. But how do you know? I mean, look, I'm a guy. If you tell me something looks good, I'm with you.
Right.
If you tell me it doesn't, I'm with you.
Right.
But if you ask me before you give me your opinion, I wouldn't know if it looks good or not. How would you know what color flowers or what type flowers or how much is too much flowers?
Right.
I mean, how in the world do you do that?
Well, you want to kind of keep things neutral, but whenever I say neutral, it doesn't mean off-white. You know, it needs to be a little warmer right now, kind of like a warmer beige or a warmer brown or gold, something like that. And think of kind of nature. Kind of just simplify. You just need a few things that make a statement, but not a lot of clutter.
I was actually going to talk to a seller about selling her house, and I mean almost the entire house, the interior, the walls were green. I mean there was some like variation in the colors of green, but they were all green walls. And I couldn't help but ask. Now I'm going to tell you, to me that was a turn off for me. Right. That did not look good to me, and I told him that. But I said, why in the world would you paint your wall? I mean, from the ceiling to the floor, all green. And he goes, well, I wanted to. People are interested in buying green homes today. I'm like, are you kidding me?
That's not exactly what they meant.
Yeah, that was insane. I said, dude, you got to redo that. That's got to go. I'm not even an interior decorator. Now, well, speaking of that, what's the difference between an interior decorator and a home stager? Or are they the same?
Okay, well, a home stager specializes in getting a home for sale, which a lot of times we have to use what is there you know, already, or it's vacant. So it's a little bit different than your traditional interior designer, wherever an interior designer is trying to make the house look, they custom tailor it for that family or that lifestyle. When you're doing staging, the difference is we're trying to customize this house for buyers, for multiple buyers. And that's the reason why you really can't commit to a certain theme or something like that, because we're trying to appeal to all sorts of different people. So a lot of times, keeping up kind of like with HGTV, the decorating magazines, you'll see how everything's more simple, more neutral colors. They're kind of bringing in the nature, just like a few plants, a few things in there. I think all that would be really helpful.
Makes sense to me. That's why you're the expert. Couple other things here I see on this list. One says play soft music. Is that something that, I don't know that I've ever walked in a house where there was music played. Well,
I have. I've actually shown a few homes that they were lived in, and you had to call, you know, make an appointment that you were going to show the house. And I've came over, and the house would smell good. They'd have a candle lit, and they'd have the music that's like on the TV, direct TV or whatever, the music channel playing. And it, you know, but I think my buyers were really impressed.
It's kind of like a romantic.
I know, yeah, they want to fall in love with the house, yeah.
Well, hey, if it works, it works. And then I see it says turn on all your lights.
Yes.
And which means now you've got to replace your light bulbs.
That's a huge issue right there. I can't tell you how many homes you can't even see because all the blinds are shut. It's really dark. I mean, you can't even see the house. And I think whenever you're showing a home, you know, as a buyer, when everything's real dark, you almost want to walk out and go towards the light. So you really want to, you know, show off your house and add more lamps, you know, higher wattage, you know, do all that, make it light and bright.
Can you get it too bright? I mean, because you can get some of these light bulbs, I mean, they will put off like extreme light and a lot of heat.
Yeah. You want to create what they call an ambience, you know, kind of like a glow where you can see things. And overhead lighting is called task lighting, which means you're performing a task, like the kitchen light, you know, we're going to be chopping food. Your ceiling fans in most living rooms, the only time you ever turn on that light is whenever you lose the remote control. So leave the lamps on and keep the overhead lights off.
Well, according to these statistics, and now honestly these are national statistics,
yes.
Professionally staged homes sell in about how many days?
Almost a month, less than a month. 29 to 30
29 days.
Yeah, 29 days.
And for more money than those that have not been staged.
Yes.
So, you know, why I mean, that's kind of like a no-brainer.
I know. Why would you not stage your home? I know.
You know, and I tell you, it could be that, you know, maybe let's say I'm a home owner and I'm wanting to sell my house, and you know, I don't have top-notch furniture.
Right.
My furniture just is not very attractive. So in my mind, I might think there's nothing you can do to help. I mean, and I'm not going to go out and buy new furniture.
Right.
But
I wouldn't ask you to.
But is there something that you could do, even with maybe not the top of the line furniture?
Yeah, we're actually trying to sell the house, not your furniture. So, you know, as long as we make the house look good, you know, we can camouflage the furniture a little bit. Yes.
Put a little netting over the couch.
There you go, a throw or something like that. We're trying to show off the house and its best features, not your furniture.
One of the things you hear an awful lot from real estate agents, and I'm just curious what you feel as a home stager, is you know, we tell sellers you need to depersonalize the home.
Yeah.
Get your pictures and stuff out of here.
Yeah, this is a kind of a taboo topic because I agree but disagree on this. I believe the house kind of needs to be homey, and it's okay if you have a couple of pictures, you know, here and there.
Yeah.
That's fine, but I don't need a wall of fame. You know, I don't need the baby pictures and, you know, wedding pictures everywhere. You know, but I do believe that some of that stuff that, you know, makes the house more homey, and the buyer doesn't mind. But they say that psychologically that a buyer, you know, it makes them feel bad, kind of like they're taking someone's home whenever they see a lot of personal items.
And you know, I don't have personally, I don't have a problem with people having pictures of themselves with their family.
Yeah, I don't either.
Again, as long as it's tasteful.
Yes, and it's not overkill.
Yes. But I have been in a few homes where, you know, I guess the homeowner was a photographer or they knew a photographer, but they had a lot of pictures, which I guess they called artwork. I didn't think was appropriate. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, well, your buyer probably isn't going to think so
and
either.
They didn't. In fact, this one house I'm thinking about had their kids with them.
Yeah.
And the type of the pictures was very inappropriate.
Yep.
For kids.
Right.
In my opinion. And, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it needs to go.
In fact, I remember thinking to myself, you know, if the seller is not willing to take those down,
right,
there's no way I'm listing that house.
Yeah.
There's no way I'm going to do that. But some people are just, that's their artwork, I guess.
Yeah, and I realize that they're proud of it. I'm a big lover of art myself, but we're really trying to sell the house to the buyer, not to you.
Yes. Well, you're right, and so we'll move on from that. But we do need to depersonalize to some extent. But pictures here and there of the family, tasteful pictures. I think that makes the home a little more warming to a buyer when they come in.
And that's what buyers want. Buyers don't really want a stark, you know, house with no personality. And if you go show houses, you know, a couple times, you'll see many houses that have no personality. They're just real stark. So you want to remember the ones that were a little bit more warm and homier.
Okay. All right. Well, so there's the inside. What about the exterior? Is that a big deal, and is that something you deal with?
This is a really big deal, and I want everybody to kind of think like the buyer. You know, when they're saying now that 94% of buyers select their next home on the internet between the hours of 11 p.m. and 1 a.m.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
And the first picture that those buyers click on is the exterior of your house. So they're not going to know how great your living room looks or what fantastic kitchen you have or screen porch. The first picture that they click on is the front of your house. And I cannot stress how bad the front of your house, that photograph has got to look good. You've got to clean up. You've got to you know, do a little bit of landscaping. You got to make the front door look good. You have got, I mean, it's crucial.
Funny you say that, because, you know, that's one of the things I really hit on big time in our real estate classes for real estate agents. But there really needs, I mean, obviously the exterior of the house, I think, has to be immaculate. Yes. Because that's either going to draw them in or they're going to keep driving on down the road.
Yep.
But there needs to be, I think, and here again, I'm far from a stager or a decorator, but there needs to be a focal point, I think, where when you drive, something needs to sort of stand out.
Yep. Well,
and it's usually the front door.
It usually is the front door. A lot of times you got the mailbox, you know, that can kind of help, like a welcoming flag, a couple of seasonal flowers, clean the mailbox. But the front door is a really big deal. I think there should be a wreath on the door, some flowers, something that makes it look, even if it's a vacant home. I mean, I love putting a wreath, a seasonal wreath or something like that on the front door. It just makes it looks very welcoming, like you want to go inside. Think of a bow on a present.
Right.
You know, you want to open it.
And if you have like a storm door, maybe, would it go on the outside of the storm door?
Yeah, you just put the wreath hook on the outside of the storm door.
And just for another note, if you have a storm door, because I see this a lot. I mean, I like storm doors. I think, but they need to work. They need to be functional.
Yes.
They need to open and close the way they should. Yeah. Otherwise, I mean, that's a huge turnoff, and we haven't even gone in the house. The door don't even work.
Yep, I know.
If you have, for whatever reason, if you still have a screen door, make sure there's screen in the door. Just little things like that.
Yep. It's that first impression. They say that a buyer decides if they're going to fall in love with your house or not in the first 10 seconds. 10 seconds. And a lot of times it takes the realtor 5 seconds just to get the key out of the lockbox. So they're just sitting there staring and looking at your door, your screen door, your storm door.
Cobwebs up on the top of the porch. And yeah, that's a good point. Because, you know, as a realtor, I'm not looking, I'm trying to get the key.
You're trying to get the key,
And I haven't thought about that, but I'm sure my buyers, they're looking.
Well, that's what they're doing. They're just
down.
staring. Yeah, they're just staring at the front. I mean, you know, they're 2 feet from looking at everything right there.
Good grief.
So I suggest if you're a seller, to stand on your front porch and act like you locked yourself out and see what all you see.
Without the blinders on.
Yes. Yep. Think like the buyer. See your home through the buyer's eyes.
Well, speaking of that, what would you recommend maybe a homeowner do prior to putting their house on the market?
I'm going to tell you something. You can get the best bang for your dollar is to do a pre-home inspection.
I love you.
Yeah. And I've got a good friend, David DeBose from DeBose Home Inspections. Fantastic guy, really shoots it straight. He can come over, I think it's like between $230 to $330, which is well spent. It's a complete home inspection. The house, they go in the attic, underneath, he checks everything. Before $1 is spent for staging, for anything, you really need to get that pre-home inspection and find out, what all's wrong with the house. The toilet could be leaking, and it's funny because a lot of sellers think they know, things that aren't working or not, and they may not.
You're right.
And catching this in time before you do anything.
And funny you bring up David, because I love David, and we didn't talk about this prior to the show.
No.
But David DeBose is one of our sponsors here. He is, as far as I'm concerned, he is the best home inspector out there.
Yeah, he
does
like
such a good job of explaining things.
Yeah, he's great, especially for first-time home buyers. He really takes the extra time to.
It's a very detailed and very comprehensive report that he does. But David also teaches home inspection at our school.
Yeah.
He's very, very good. And funny, you get a home stager talk about having the house pre-inspected.
Yeah, I'm talking that's more important than calling me in the beginning, because that really needs to be done. And I'm going to tell you something else. It's also could possibly keep you out of getting sued after you sell your house. And the reason why is because they might have found some things and you might be able to catch them in time.
Yeah.
And if you can't, some things that you just can't fix because you don't have the money or whatever, you disclose them.
But I tell you, if you're a real estate agent, and we're talking about the staging and, but a lot with the state. In fact, you kind of hit on it a little bit before this last break. These pictures that we put in the MLS
very important.
Are very important, because I'm going to tell you, when we put a listing in the MLS, that populates probably several hundred other websites.
Websites, yes.
So the Zillow, Trulia, stuff like that.
Realtor.com.
Yes.
Yeah, it just trickles on down. Buyers don't go driving around. It's not like the old days. People don't go drive around and look at, because gas is too much, because you can do everything on the internet. Like I said, I mean, you're looking at a lot of buyers. 94% of buyers are selecting their home between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. So they're in their pajamas looking at houses.
You're right. And in fact, there was I don't know if you call it a poll or not, but Realtor NAR put out this information. But last year, in 2010, 87% of all the homes sold, now again, this is nationally, the buyer actually found the house on their own online.
Yes.
87%.
Yes.
That's almost 9 out of 10 homes that were sold last year.
Yes.
The buyer found the home by themselves online.
Yep. So those pictures better be really good, everybody. I mean, hear us loud and clear. And right now, I want to mention there are 7,004 residential homes on the market right here in this area.
7,000.
And for just residential homes.
Just around the Midlands.
Yep. So your pictures, you better be priced good, and your pictures better be really good.
You're right. We've got an extraordinarily high inventory today.
Yes.
And we've been dealing with this for 2 or 3 years now. But you know what? There are a lot of homeowners that are getting their homes sold much faster.
Oh, yes.
And it's because of some of the things we're talking about right here. They just take that one more step.
Yeah, and it's really not, I mean, it really doesn't cost that much. I mean, you're talking a couple $100s, a lot of elbow grease, and even if you have to spend, a couple of thousand, $2,000-3,000, I mean, it's going to pay off on the end. And then and I want to mention too, like if you're reselling, your house, you have an older home, you don't have a floor plan, that's okay. What you can do is, have your realtor put that, you've got a 20 by 20, square foot bedroom, or, some of the bigger rooms in your house, you can put some sizes in there. And I think that'd really help.
Well, I tell you what, this is, staging is, That's what it's going to take today.
Yep.
We've got to get this house staged well if it's going to sell, because you got a lot of competition.
Yes.
A lot of competition.
7,004 homes, so it's a lot. And I want to mention one of the most inexpensive things that you can do to your home, more bang for your buck, is to paint. 1 gallon of paint covers about 350 to 400 square feet, which is about an average size kitchen, a larger kitchen and kind of eat-in area. Definitely that would do two bathrooms, maybe even more. And I mean, you're talking, $30, $35 for 1 gallon of paint, and you could do a couple of rooms. And if you use a good paint, something like Sherwin-Williams, a good paint like that, you won't have to buy as much paint.
And if you were helping me stage and you were suggesting what colors and stuff, you could help me get discounted prices?
Yes. If you call me and I come and stage, I do share my discounts, and that's another reason why you should, use a stager. I'll give you a 10% off discount at the Sherwin-Williams and Irmo. And also, I have some discounts to Lowe's and Kirkland's and, some of the other stores. The flooring department over in Lexington will really work with my sellers, because a lot of people need to replace the carpet.
Absolutely.
And they're really great. So we understand, that, you really need the help.
Well, I can tell you, I know my wife's listening, and you're going to have to come
So I'll be going
to
Frankie's house.
Oh. And we gotta have it, but she deserves. She's been
yes, she does,
putting up with it for over 20 years now.
You deserve it, girl.
So maybe we can see what we can do to get this house looking the way she would like it to look.
One paint color at a time.
One at a time.
Yep.
That's right. And I tell you what, Tiffany, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show today. Again, real quick,
thank you.
Your website is what again?
Tiffany Sowards, and it's spelled SOWARDS, Homes, HOMES, Tiffany Sowards Homes.com. And I'm also on Facebook, Tiffany Sowards Homes. You can, do it that way. And I'd love to hear from you. If you need me, I'm here. This is what I do. I love people. I know a lot about houses, and I am here to help Columbia get them.
And the nice thing, you're also
down.
A licensed agent, so
Yes.
you know how the process works.
See, I'm not just a know-it-all. I really do know.
You're not just a proclaimed know-it-all.
Yes.
You actually are.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I tell you, and if you missed any of her information, and by the way, you said you would actually come out at no charge to actually take a look and tell them what you could or couldn't do, and then they can decide whether your services.
Exactly. Yeah. And if you already have a realtor, use your realtor, because I love my fellow brothers and sisters in real estate. That is fine. I'd be glad, to come and give you a consultation.
Great. Well, again, we got to run or pushing towards the end here. But again, if you missed her information, just go to our website, realestateschoolforsuccess.com. Click on the blog page, and there you'll find all her information. I also encourage you to go to William's website, our videographer here, mindovermatterfilms.com. Does a great job. Y'all, please be careful this weekend. Have a great weekend. You're listening to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin.